Mr. McLean. I must say I find it rather strange that you're reviewing Die Hard again.
Yeah, well, Hans, sometimes things are better the second time around. Except for Die Hard 2.
Funny. That's probably because I wasn't in that one. Because you threw me off of a frickin' building. If I knew where you were, I'd come and do the same to you.
Yeah, well, Hans, remember, now I have a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho.
Ha, ha, ha. What would you say if I told you you're not very funny?
Hans, I think I'd say... Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker!
Well guys, it's that time of year again. The weather outside is frightful, and what am I thinking about? Die Hard. Now yes, I have reviewed these 4 films in the past, but that was a long time ago, and I feel that I didn't really give this first film the in-depth review that it deserves. Because it's a silent guardian, it's a watchful I'm sorry, wrong movie, my bad. I get lost sometimes thinking about Batman. Die Hard is a revolutionary action film, and a lot of people don't necessarily view it maybe the same way that I do. I grew up with it, first of all. I would watch this film endlessly. Every summer it was just Die Hard, Die Hard, Die Hard. And then in the winter you'd feel the same thing. You'd want to watch Die Hard. It was one of those weird movies where it's like, it takes place during Christmas, but you feel like you can just watch it whenever because it's just such a unique action film for its time. Nowadays, it's been copied and imitated in every way. Bruce Willis plays John McClane, one of the most likable protagonists in movie history. You just immediately, from frame one, you love this guy. Because he's not just your standard shoot 'em up, kill everyone and win and get the girl guy. He's a vulnerable hero, and you get that from scene one. Why? Because when the movie opens, you see him on this plane and he's totally afraid of flying. He's this awesome hero badass, but he does not want to fly on planes. As these opening scenes progress, you have a very limited time to learn about this character. That was one of the challenges I'm sure the filmmakers had in this movie, because the action starts fairly early on, but you gotta immediately relate to this guy. And you do, because of these opening scenes. You learn about him through Argyle in the limo. When he looks at the computer and he realizes that his wife has changed her name in the directory to her maiden name, and he's like, oh god. The scenes where he's trying to reconnect with his wife, you feel that this guy is a person, and you immediately get that in such a short time. It's brilliant script writing and very good directing. I mean, when you think of Die Hard, it's so easy to just think of this really fun movie. But when you really examine this film, John McTiernan, the director, did such a good job directing this movie, and we'll talk more about him later. But as you guys probably know, Alan Rickman, in one of his best and most signature roles, comes in with his terrorist buddies, rounds up hostages, and talks to Mr. Takage. They're after the money in this vault, and they're going to do anything to get it. Now guess what they didn't expect? There just so happens to be a New York cop in the other room, and he's gonna make things messy for them. This was just such a cool premise for its time when it came out in 1988. This movie's been done and done again in so many different ways now. But for its time, one guy against a group of terrorists in this tall building, he has to save all these people, everyone's against him. That wasn't as common as a premise back then. As I said, John McTiernan is a fantastic action director. A lot of people don't realize just how many movies this guy's directed that are great. First off, I really like Die Hard 3. Die Hard with a Vengeance is actually my favorite Die Hard sequel. He also directed The Hunt for Red October, a great film with Alec Baldwin and Sean Connery. And, oh yeah, Predator. Predator, for goodness sakes. If you guys don't know, Predator is actually one of my favorite movies along with Die Hard. Predator. This guy knows how to direct suspenseful action scenes. You watch this movie and every shot feels like it has life. It actually is kind of slow paced at the beginning. It's so interesting because of the characters, but the way he films it is, it's just very calm and laid back. You're like, something's going on here. It's almost like the opening scenes of this movie are that moment when you light a fuse and the fire's just sort of trailing along it, and then it explodes, and that's when the terrorism and everything happens in this movie, and John McClane has to be a hero and everything, and then the rest of the movie is like the explosion, but those opening scenes feel like a fuse being lit. You can just feel all these pieces coming into place so well. He just has this way of directing each shot that feels almost independent. It just feels so low budget in the best way. When he's on top of the elevator and it's going up the shaft and he's looking up and he looks worried, it's because he's actually on an elevator going up a shaft and he's probably worried he's gonna get squashed. Most of the action is in your face, extremely well shot. lots of things in wide angles. You don't get the shaky cam of nowadays. As the movie goes along, you get to see this wonderful cat and mouse game between McClane and Hans. Now here's another challenge presented to these filmmakers. Not only did they have to open this movie and get you invested in this character quickly, but Hans and McClane, they don't really have scenes together. They have to create a legitimate villain and hero presence in this film and feel like they are clashing without them actually being together. They just talk on a walkie-talkie for almost the entire movie. Do you have any idea how hard that is for a filmmaker to approach that, or a writer to approach that and say, how are we going to make this actually be a good rivalry when they're never actually in scenes together? I'm so impressed with how it works, and the reason it works so well is because as these terrorists are introduced, you see them and they have this very straightforward, goal-oriented plan of how they're going to accomplish everything. McClane, as he calls himself, is the fly in the ointment. He's the guy who keeps screwing everything up for them, and it's so fun and entertaining to watch that, and you really just feel this guy eating at each one of these members. You feel him just breaking away at their calm, and that's one of the reasons why it works so well. Die Hard truly is an action classic. It's a film that you can watch over and over and over again for the rest of your life, and you're never going to get bored with it if you like these types of movies, and I do. It's almost flawless. I really only have a couple little nitpicks with the movie that don't affect my overall grade with it, but since I am a film reviewer, I feel required to tell you. I only have two issues with this film. One is a character, reporter, who seems completely unnecessary to the plot, really. He's just very annoying to like everyone in this movie, and I feel like every time they show him, the movie just loses momentum. And since he didn't really have a huge purpose in the movie, I feel like he could have just been deleted. Apparently some people enjoyed that character because he gets brought back for Die Hard 2 in a much more extensive role. Also, this isn't really a nitpick, it's just sort of a thought. One of the things I noticed watching this movie again last night, everyone in this movie except John McClane is a douchebag. Obviously the terrorists, okay, they're bad, we got that. But the reporter, the cop who doesn't believe anything McClane says, the cops on the phone who also don't believe what McClane says, the sleazy Ellis dude who just wants to get everything done his way, Johnson and Johnson up in the helicopter. Even the good guys in this movie are like, they're douchebags. Like no one helps John McClane in this movie except of course Carl from Family Matters, who loves his Twinkies and is going to be sad that Hostess is going out of business. And I just noticed, I was like, this movie really stacks everyone against this character, and that is actually a positive in the long run, because you just feel like this guy has no one. Just someone give this guy a helping hand. You get that a little bit through Reginald VelJohnson's character. Yes, I know his name. I used to watch Family Matters and I saw it pop up on the screen every day. Die Hard is a pristinely directed, smartly written action film with a very likable hero and a very likable villain. It is one of the best action films ever made. I love Die Hard. It of course gets an A+. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope you are enjoying your day off. Don't do anything stupid. Stay safe. And as always, if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.